And I'm Ron Burgundy. This is take 2 of TexAgs Rewind. David Nuno in the house, presented by T-Mobile. Matt Browning, Hunter Sherliff in the house, and Roy May decided to take the day off.
Roy May just, like you said, I think he had a bad night at bowling and just couldn't bring himself to be here.
Ole Miss game followed by a bad night of bowling.
Yeah, he says his mind is still out of whack after watching us throw the ball 41 times this last weekend.
Well, it was too many, and we're all still thinking about A-Chain, but we also talked a little Heisman. Who's going to win it? OB had his Heisman breakdown. Stephen McGee in studio for the first time this year. We've been doing Zooms with him all year long. Ryan Swope gets it done every Thursday with us, and we talked Mel Tucker getting paid. How long is his contract, guys? Same as?
It's exactly like Jimbo's.
Really? And are people upset?
I hadn't heard anything.
They calling that crazy?
No, I think they're saying that. They're applauding them. And we applaud Mel. Make that money, but we applaud Jimbo first. It is TexAgs Rewind. All right, OB. Let's do our Heisman Watch, and let's start off with number 5.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pitt, threw for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns in that 30-23 win over North Carolina. Overall, 3,517 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. He's having a great year.
He's having a great year. And is this his second time on your list?
Yeah, he's been on there before. You know, I jumbled it up a little bit this week.
Okay. Yeah. And by the way, you have been high on him all season long.
I have.
Yeah.
He's having a really good year. I just voted for his receiver for the Blitnikoff Award.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, number 4, I've got Will Rogers, the Mississippi State quarterback. Look, nobody's hotter right now than Will Rogers. He's thrown for more than 400 yards in each of the last 2 games, 10 touchdowns in that stretch. He's also thrown for at least 300 yards in 9 of 10 games, 3,724 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, but he does have 8 interceptions.
If they didn't have 4 losses, he would, I think, the way he's playing, he would for sure get invited. He may still get invited.
Maybe. You know, part of it is Leach's offense is built for quarterbacks to put up big numbers, but
he's perfect for it, though.
But he's really playing at a high level.
He is.
Number 3, I got C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State quarterback, passed for 361 yards and 5 touchdowns in that 59-31 win over Purdue, a game that a lot of folks felt like Purdue could win.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a huge game. He's thrown for more than 300 yards in 5 of the last 6 games. He's passed for 3,036 yards. He missed a game, remember, and 30 touchdowns with 5 picks.
That's a phenomenal stat line. It really is.
Yeah, and again, he's missed a game.
A whole game, yeah.
Number 2, Bryce Young, Alabama. I know he did not face good competition last week against New Mexico State, but he completed 21 of 23 passes for 270 yards and 5 touchdowns, and overall 3,025 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions.
So he's a guy that if he plays well against Georgia, if they win against Georgia, he goes right back to the top of that line, I believe.
Maybe. Very well could. I mean, I feel like he's really had a great year.
Yeah.
And I know some feel like Alabama's quarterback situation is not as good as it has been in the past. That may be the case, but that doesn't mean he's playing poorly.
Right.
I think he's playing very well.
I think yesterday you pointed it out. Really, the defense at times the defenses look great, and at times it does not look good at all.
And their offensive line is just not as good as it typically is.
Right.
And number 1, I haven't changed. Kenneth Walker, the Michigan State running back, continues to lead the nation with 1,473 rushing yards. He's ran for 17 touchdowns. Maybe I should say run for 17 touchdowns. He has 143 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns last week against Maryland.
Yeah, he is the truth. Again, kind of like...
And he's got Ohio State this week.
Right. Well, I was going to say, those guys that we mentioned, the final 3 that you have there, I will say Kenneth, Bryce, and CJ, they all have a chance to have that Heisman moment in big-time games. Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, obviously I've met Stephen McGee many times, but first time we've done TexAgs from the studio. Good morning, bud.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, it's just not the same without being in person. You know, the Zoom calls are fun and everything, but being here, I feel like it's more of a conversation.
Yeah.
As opposed to like an interview.
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Like sometimes I like the Zoom when it comes to like press conference settings. I can be at home in my underwear and just do it, right? Yeah. But it's not the same kind of, it's a tangible, there's this being in person really makes a big difference.
Especially knowing that when I do Zoom calls, I can't hear y'all anymore. It goes to the commercial part. So I can't hear OB saying the funny, inappropriate joke that he can't say live on radio. And so I miss out on that as well. So there's definitely the added advantage of being here in person.
Yeah, I was racking my brain when you walked in thinking, okay, what joke can I tell? and I just couldn't come up with any. I'm not good on the fly.
You
I
did
guess.
good, though. You had some funny comments.
You may have brought up a Chris Rock joke or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say which one. Hey, Steven, so a lot went wrong Saturday in Oxford. So just your assessment of the way things played out, a game that I have said a couple times this week, could have been a blowout, and the Aggies could have won.
Exactly. And I think the disappointing part of that is A&M was the better football team from a ability perspective, and the plays were there to be had, but it came down to a lack of execution. And it was clear. I mean, you turn on the tape, there's guys open, and you're just sitting there kind of scratching your head, and it's the ultimate of, what could have been. And there were you always turn it. It's never as bad as you thought it was, and I think that's the case in this game. There were some really good moments, but then obviously there's the head scratching plays, and it could have been a lot worse too. I mean, they didn't score some points after moving the ball, on the 4th and goal and all those types in the turnover. So I don't know how I feel about it. Honestly, it's disappointing. I mean, I think that was a game we should have won. I think we're a better football team. We're further along as a program, and we just didn't get it done.
PV is up this weekend. Who's going to get it done this weekend?
I'm going with Anais Smith. Senior night, last game on Kyle Field. And I think that he's going to have a big day. And, I think he's been kind of quiet here lately. I think all of our receivers have been pretty quiet. There's been some drop balls, but he's been more reliable, and he made some really good catches in that Ole Miss game. Some tough catches, and he's a guy that I feel like he's been quiet. He's gonna probably, I think he'll get a pair of touchdowns, and he'll have a big day.
All right, Ryan. Who won't get it done this upcoming weekend in college football?
Hey, for the record, last week I'm pretty sure I nailed the Texas losing to Kansas and Oklahoma losing to Baylor. Is that correct?
That sounds familiar, and I think you did. You were spot on that. And by the way, I didn't think Texas was going to lose to Kansas. I was like, "There's no way they're going to spiral that bad," but they sure did.
Yeah, but this week, looking across the board, I mean, that Michigan-Ohio State game is going to be a good game. I think Michigan State could sneak in there and get a W. Is it in – where's that game being – is it –
I believe it's in Columbus.
Yeah, I'll take Michigan State. We'll see. I think that they've got a good team. They're good at running the football. So I'd love to see it happen, make things interesting.
All right, Ryan, since you went there, let's talk a little bit about what happened between Texas and Kansas. As you're watching that game unfold, and a lot of it unfolded after the A&M game there, and it goes into overtime, just your thoughts on what you've seen from them this year and how that game was just such a comedy of errors.
Yeah, I was disappointed that we lost, but it cheered me up turning on that game and watching that meltdown. I think there's a stat that, Kansas hadn't won a conference road game since 2008. So love to see that stat break in Austin. And, I think they're just having some problems over there, and I'm not losing any sleep over it. That's for sure. I don't think any of us Aggies are, and I think they kind of asked for it, to be honest with you.
So do you think it's going to get worse for them? They're on the road this weekend, West Virginia, and they finish out with Kansas State.
Well, I mean, I don't think it can get much worse than losing to Kansas. So, but if they lose to West Virginia, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think that they definitely hit rock bottom last week.
So, Ryan, we live in a world where it's very possible that Texas and LSU are not bowl eligible. Would you have thought that before the season?
No, absolutely not. That's pretty crazy to think of. But that's why college football is so fun. You never know what can happen.
What I find interesting is the fact that nobody's really going crazy about this contract and like it's just Michigan State, look at what they're doing, they're awesome. None of the national, maybe it's out there, but I haven't seen it the way Jimbo got crucified after building this program, winning a national championship. It was a bad business decision then, but now it's like, you know what? Good for Michigan State.
It's funny. I tweeted that exact same thing when I saw the official report. I had been hearing that there was a big extension coming, that they were not going to get outbid by LSU for Mel Tucker. $95 million, though, is even a little bit more than I thought. But, that was my exact thought. And I don't think there's any doubt that when we're debating, or I don't even think you're debating, when we're having the conversation about, Jimbo Fisher being a national championship coach, obviously had made a college football playoff the first year that the college football playoff was there. I don't think there was any debate that, from a financial perspective, it was a boon for Texas A&M. It's obviously worked out very well. And I don't know what to say about the Mel Tucker stuff, because you're right. There has been no criticism. I think we all understand that this is the nature of doing business, that if you're Michigan State, you have to overpay. But it is amazing how, one thing is the end of the world and what are we doing and all this. And this one with Mel Tucker was just the cost of doing business for a guy that's, I think, 16 and 13. I want to say something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. 16 and 13 is, I can't remember. Let me just say, he does not have the resume of Jimbo Fisher. It's not to say that he can't one day get there, but he is certainly not there yet. And I think if my math is right, he's going to be the second highest paid coach in college football when the ink goes dry on this contract, behind only Nick Saban. So insanity. But yes, that was also a thought that I had. All the outrage about old Jimbo Fisher. Guy, he went to an Orange Bowl last year. Obviously a great season so far. So the exact same thought, David.
All right, guys, we're going to have Roy May tell us what to do.
Well, I'll tell you again. we're gonna
So Steve McGee was actually in here.
Yeah,
don't ever wash this desk again.
That guy.
Legend. That's Stephen McGee.
I do want you to do your Roy takeout though.
Well, we're gonna like, subscribe, comment, and share. Something like that.
Something like that.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
He did. You got it.
It's TexAgs Rewind. Thanks, guys.